A warm and dry hunter is a good hunter. To become a successful hunter, you need to be prepared to take the shot when the opportunity arises. Be well versed in shouldering your firearm. Have a well-sighted firearm and be well practiced in your shooting. These are all given for serious hunters, but what is often overlooked is that dressing right and knowing how to adapt your clothing is at least as important as these factors. A cold and wet hunter is in no shape to make quick decisions or deal with challenging situations. This guide will tell you how to adapt your clothing to suit different situations and how the layering principle works in practice. Adaptation and planning. Start planning at least a couple of days before your hunt. Check the weather forecast and think about what your activity level is likely to be. The expected temperature, wind, and any rain or snow expected are all important factors to consider when deciding what to wear. When you pack for your hunt, have a plan for how you will adapt your clothing. A good tip is to have insulation layers where you can easily access them in your pack. This will let you get to them as quickly and as quietly as possible. Memorize where you have your warm or waterproof gear so you can quickly and quietly find it when needed. Dress so you can adapt your clothing easily by removing or adding layers. When you are involved in physically active hunting, it is important to choose garments with ventilation openings. A two-way zipper on a jacket will allow you to easily ventilate out warm air. Think about how your specific hunting gear will work when you adapt what you are wearing. Will your ear protection still fit well if you have a thicker hat on? Can you easily attach your radio to your outer jacket? Is it comfortable to shoulder your firearm with that extra layer on? Plan what you will wear a couple of days in advance. Keep an eye on the weather forecast. Temperature, precipitation, wind. Pack so your insulation garments are easily accessed. Adapt your clothing according to the temperature and your level of activity. The rule of thumb is to be bordering on feeling cold when you start any physical activity. When you are hunting from a stand or blind in cold weather, it is good for your frame of mind to have an extra layer in your backpack that you can put on if needed. Starting the day cold when you have many hours of limited movement ahead of you is both physically and mentally challenging. Adapt your clothing during the hunt according to the temperature and your level of activity. Change your clothing if you get wet. Make use of your clothing's protective and ventilation features. Wearing several layers of clothing allows you to easily adapt what you are wearing to suit weather conditions and your level of activity. Moisture is also wicked through the layers away from the skin, and warm air is trapped between the layers. Applying the layering principle does not mean that you will use every layer all the time, but rather that you will vary your clothing according to the situation. Looser garments are easier to get on and off and ventilate. Outer garments that are too tight can make you colder as they reduce the amount of air trapped between the layers or in the loft in insulation garments. Vary the number of layers you wear according to the weather and your level of activity. Dress in loose but not too big clothing. The basic layering principle has 4 main layers. The base layer is the layer you wear next to the skin. Its primary function is to transport sweat and moisture away from the skin so you stay feeling warm and dry. Wool or synthetic fabrics are good choices. The role of the mid-layer is to absorb moisture from the base layer and to insulate. If it is very cold or if you are not going to be moving much, you may need 2 mid-layers or 1 thicker mid-layer. Wool, synthetic fabrics or G1000 are good choices depending on how active you are and the weather. You will also want to have the possibility of opening or closing zippers and to use a hood and drawcords to help regulate body temperature. The primary function of the outer layer is to protect the layers beneath. This layer needs to protect vulnerable areas such as the head, neck, wrists, waist and ankles. It also needs to be roomy and give you plenty of freedom of movement. Garments made from Fjällräven's own outdoor fabric G1000 are durable, versatile and adaptable, which can also be adapted with Greenland wax. Alternatives are waterproof garments in Fjällräven's EcoShell or Hydratic. A number of Fjällräven's outer layers that are specifically designed for hunting are reinforced with Hydratic in exposed areas to protect against getting wet while still ventilating moisture out. A good recommendation is to use an outer layer in G1000 Silent, the hunting version of G1000, that has been reinforced with Greenland wax so it has some water resistance, and a waterproof poncho that can be used in heavy or persistent rain. The advantage of these two garments together is that G1000 ventilates better than completely waterproof garments, while the poncho will keep you dry in wet weather. The insulation layer should keep you warm and dry when you are hunting from a stand or blind and not moving much. When taking a break from high-level activity, when overnighting or when you find yourself in an emergency situation. Typically, your insulation gear will consist of an insulated jacket, but it can also include a hat, sweater, trousers or socks.